Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Cheese Room podcast on YouTube. Obviously, not quite the same as the audio podcast, which is available from Spotify, Apple Music, and all good podcast providers. Give it a listen. I'm joined this evening by four wonderful people. See, I didn't dish you that time, HG. I was going to say 3 plus HG, but I decided to leave it out this time. Firstly, we're joined by a man who, when he last completed a full working week, Ryan Mason was in charge of the team. How are you feeling, HG?
That is actually quite true, probably. Maybe Nuno he just got in charge. I'm all right. I had a really good day. Finished work at about 12 o'clock today. So went swimming outside with my wife and daughter, stayed in the sun for a few hours. Life's good.
Life is good. I'm sure that's the title of a Drake album, Talking Music. Probably, Anyway, you definitely won't get that. We're also joined by the Cheese Room's second best quizmaster, Dave O. How are you, Dave? You okay? Surviving lockdown?
I'm very good. Lockdown. I've got my quiff today. Doing a lot of good work on the mullet as well. So it's all going well. Thank you very much.
Well, it's lovely to have you back. We missed you on Monday night. I was presenting your quiz and obviously didn't do it in the same, manner that you would present it. So it's
Careful,
great.
I think you're being nice to me. I'm not used to that.
Well, there's a punchline at the end of everything. And we're also joined this evening by the best quizmaster in the Cheese Room, Shan. How are you, Shan?
I mean,
it should be quiz mistress, I suppose, really, but
it's not got the same kind of ring to it, has it?
A quizstress? Would that be a word? The quizstress?
Good.
The quizstress. Yeah, that's good. That's the name now, the quizstress. Yeah, good. Right. I actually went to work today for the first time in 18 months.
I mean, that's a record even HG can't beat.
I mean, I have been working the whole way through, but I actually had to go. I had to get out of my bed and go to work today, which was a bit of a shock to the system. So I'm a little bit knackered today. So, of course, I've got the gin to keep me sane.
I mean, how much have you consumed so far? That's the question.
This is my first glass.
Oh, so we're safe for a good hour then.
You're safe for a little while.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us tonight. Unfortunately, we were going to try and get a Crystal Palace fan on for the show, but we couldn't find any. They don't seem to exist on social media, YouTube, or anywhere. So, Crystal Palace fans, if you're watching this, because I did tag Crystal Palace in the YouTube tags. Give us a shout, get in touch. We'd love to have you on the return leg if you indeed do exist. There is a theory that you're all cardboard cutouts at the stadium.
Well, I did find one, but he had too much of a social life to come on the Cheese Room. So
he's going out for beers tonight, wasn't he?
He was going out in London. So I mean, I'd rather be on the Cheese Room, of course, but
we have got Brad. We have got Brad with us tonight. Welcome back, Brad. First time in a while. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well. I'm like Shan, haven't been back to the office because, unlike Shan, I'm still working from home and probably will be going into next year. So I'm probably going to be about 2 years I'll be working from home. So that means getting the desk out and setting everything up 20 minutes and then doing the same thing at the end of the day. And yeah. But no, I'm actually on holiday for a week next week, or a week and a day, because I booked the Monday off after the Arsenal game, after the Chelsea game. So I'm looking forward to that. Yes, I have to say I deserve a break. So
you do. Well, look, welcome back on. Did you know there's only 90 days to Christmas, folks? 99
really?
shopping days to Christmas. Which, but don't worry about that because our show is more stuffed than your Christmas stockings are going to be. Full of goodies for you this evening. We're going to be previewing the Crystal Palace versus Spurs game, obviously, looking at the injury crisis. and a bit of a take on the Daniel Levy, your mate Dave's escalation to the top table of European football. We will touch on that as well. So a fully packed show. So let's get straight into it and start with the Palace game. Brad, I think last time you were on, Nuno had just been appointed as manager, if I'm right. What do you think of the start he's had to the season so far, my friend?
Very good. No, very good. And I have to admit to being very pessimistic in the well, certainly before we got Nuno. And I think when we got Nuno, I was a little bit more optimistic. And as it went on, and as we had the the friendlies, I got more and more optimistic to where I was thinking, actually, we might do okay. I still thought that we'd struggle in the early days because it's supposedly going to be a new team, new coach, new tactics, new ways of playing, new ways of training. So I thought that maybe that might take time to gel in, and with Man City and Chelsea, and I won't say Arsenal. I would have said Arsenal at the start of the season, but I won't say Arsenal. The tough games, I thought that we might struggle, but we've done really well, and because we've played really well, we've really put that effort in, and I have to say, with the caveat that since Posh left, we've been looking for that family atmosphere again, which we had under him. I think we've sort of grabbed onto Nuno's. Oh yeah, the family atmosphere's back, but I do believe that the club is more. It's more together now than certainly than it was under Mourinho. The players, I think, are playing. They seem to be enjoying their football more. I think they're scared under Mourinho. I really do. I think they're scared under Mourinho. I think I'm no tactical magician. Don't get me wrong, but I thought we were defending too deeply, and it put pressure on the defenders, put pressure on the goalkeeper, and that's why we conceded a lot of goals. Now we seem to be defending a lot more higher up the pitch and playing more attacking. We're not relying on that one break every now and again. We're actually looking to attack as much as we can. But yeah, no, I'm impressed so far. But it's only 3 games, so the game like we have against Palace tomorrow. I mean, it started off with Watford. These are the games we have to win. It's all very well playing well against Man City and winning. And everyone goes, "Wow, that's brilliant." You've got to beat your Watfords. You've got to beat your Palaces.
No, absolutely. And I can see in the comments, Bob Spurs calling me out saying it's way too early for Christmas references. Just let you know, at work this week. Not going to reference the retailer, but we did launch a full range of Christmas goodies, and you can get your tubs now for £4 at your local supermarket. Christmas tubs. You a fan of those, HG? Those big.
I am. You can actually get them here too. So I go to one of the local shops and get a big tub of Quality Street. But yes, I like them too much. It's one of the few things about an English Christmas that I definitely want to have every year here.
I buy a few tubs and stick them in a really safe place, like, put them up in one of the rooms upstairs on the top floor. But Becky always seems to find them somehow or other. So, danger. Anyway, we do digress. HG, how do you think Spurs will line up for this one? We've obviously got the international break from hell out of the way. Have we barely got a side that can line up? What we're going to go around to you all. So if you're all thinking about this question, HG, how do you think we're going to line up?
I saw Skip training today, which made me think that if that's true, and if he did train a full session, then he will probably be part of the team, and that would keep it at a 4-3-3. I've seen rumours on Twitter that actually there's a whole bunch of players that are out, including Skip. So, look, it's a tough one. I think the team would be better. Like, if we don't have Skip and Højbjerg in there, I think the team would be better with 3 at the back. So I suspect that's what I would do. But who those 3 are is kind of up for grabs. It's going to be Dyer, Tanganga +1. There's always +1. And
it never died.
No, it never died, because we now need 2 players to replace Toby, you see, so it's 2 players +1. So probably Rodon because he's bigger, but Davies we know that can do it. I'd be tempted to go with Davies too, but I have a feeling it might be 5 at the back with with the new signing Emerson on the right and Ricky on the left. The 2 up top, if Son's out, I guess it's Kane plus. I'd be tempted to put Dele a bit further up top. I know he's been playing in midfield, but we all know that he and Kane work well together. And so then the 3 behind become it's Højbjerg, and then you start to struggle there too. Is Winks going to play? I don't think I'd play him. if I'm honest. So yeah, like maybe Brian can play a bit deeper. People have compared him to David Silva. I don't know if because he's Spanish and left-footed. That seems a bit of a stretch, but they seem to think
it is.
And the haircut, right? I seem to think that people have said that he could play deeper, but it's a bit of a mess. Like the simplest thing would just go 4-3-3 and keep it as similar as it always has been. But I don't know. I think that 3 in the midfield is a massive problem for us because I don't think any of us really want Højbjerg to sit, and he may well have to.
Yeah. Okay. Shan, what are you saying? Who would you pick?
I think I'd stick to a 4-4-3. Stick to what you know. I think it will probably be Dyer and either Roden or Tanganga. In central defence with Reggie on the left and either Emerson or Tanganga at right back. If Tanganga doesn't play centre back, he'll play at right back, I think.
Yeah.
And then a midfield 3 of Højbjerg and Dombele or Winks and Dele. And then I think we'll see Brian, Kane and Mora up top.
Well, I just want to respond to this Winks hat-trick. What are you saying, Cora? I'm saying absolutely not.
Unless they're all crosses that have just strayed into the goal.
Did Harry Winks play cricket?
Well, maybe he does it better than he does football. Dave, what are you thinking, mate? What does your dream team look like for the weekend based on what's available?
I'd do the 3-5-2. I'd have Dyer, Tanganga, Roden or Davis at the back. Reguilon and either Doherty or Emerson as a right wing back. I mean, it suits Doherty more to play right wing back, and that's his better position. The real issue is who you have in midfield, because you're going to have Højbjerg is going to have to sit.
Yeah,
you haven't got really many other options. So unfortunately, we're going to have the Hemel Hempstead Iniesta in. We're going to have Dele Alli. And I'd play Kane and Moore up top. I think Moore is more suited he's playing down the middle. He's quite good at that. He's scored some goals before. I'd have Gil on the bench as an impact sub if we need to change things around. Gil. And after that, there's not much else really. I think it's a bit early maybe for Emerson. I think he's just turned up at the club in the last couple of weeks. But it kind of shows that the squad's a bit thin, which was always my suspicion at the end of the transfer window.
I think we all thought that to a degree. Brad, I mean, to be fair, just on that, Dave, we have just lost about 6 players in the international break. That's not that typical, is it? Let's be fair.
Three's been wiped out due to quarantining rules. So yeah, that's a fair point.
Brad, what does your 11 look like, mate? By the way, we've got 70 people watching and only about 20 likes, so the math doesn't add up. So if you're watching,
hit that like,
hit that like button, and if anyone wants to send a super chat, do get them in, and we'll get to them during the show. Brad, your 11, mate.
Okay, well, I go on the premise that Nuno, I don't think would if all players were available, he wouldn't change his first 11. So it'd be the same 11 that played against Watford. But that's obviously not going to happen. So you look, what players are definitely missing? You'd have to say Son from Nuno's very strange press conference where he said he was ill. So I have my theory is that he's not injured. He's actually picked up a virus of some sort. I'm not saying it's COVID, but I think he's probably ill in that sense. So you say Son, and obviously because of Sanchez is currently in Croatia, he's not playing. So, and Bergwijn, because of looking at that ice pack he had on the other night. So, okay, Bergwijn's quite simple. You put Lucas in his place because Lucas on the bench against Watford. So that's easy. Not worried about that. Mm-hmm. Centre back, I think Roden's still got fitness issues. He was in the Wales squad. I don't think he played. I did see him on that same training video, but he hasn't played many games, so I don't think he'll be there. So you look at bringing Tanganga across to partner with Dyer. Then who do you play at right back? Dave's right about Emerson. He's only just joined the club this week. How you can play him, it'd be a real chance if you put him at right back. So I would say you might be looking at Doherty. I know we don't like that. You could possibly go with Tanganga at right back and Davis as the left-sided centre back. That's a possibility. He's played there before. He's also played for Wales there. That's a possibility. Or if you look really you might possibly have, and I always forget his name, our Estonian international right back, whatever his name is.
Paskotsi.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah,
He played the other night. So that's sort of an off the wall sort of suggestion. So that's how I think. And then to replace Son, that's the most difficult player to replace. I mean, we got 3 world class players in our or maybe 4 if you can include Lloris. You got Son, Højbjerg, and Kane. I mean, they're the world class players. Who do you play Son with? Well, you've got to go with Brian Hill as I think that's probably the way you go. Or I do like the suggestion actually of playing Dele Alli further forward as a number just behind the striker, and then you change your midfield around. But I think that's what's going to happen. We saw Skip training, but he was playing in a little circle where you just stand around and kick the ball. I mean, I think
that's the way he best plays, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've had not as any great sportsman, but I've had a groin injury. Yeah, you can't run, but you can stand in a circle and kick a ball. So yeah. But I would say he'll play, but that would be So I will go with Doherty, Tanganga, Dyer, Reguilon, Højbjerg, Skip, Ali, Brian Hill, Kane, and Lucas. That'll be my team. And see, so I was like, no, not Doherty. I don't want Doherty in the team anyway. I just think that's the way it's going to go because he's a right back by trade. Nuno knows him, and Royale Emerson, whatever his name is.
Royale with cheese.
Yeah, Royale with cheese.
Of course, picked up by
I think if it had been, I think he'll play in the Conference League. But I think it's too early to put him into every game's a big game, but put him to a game like that. And he'll be up against Zaha, I believe. If Zaha plays, I don't know, does Zaha play on the right or the left? But he could potentially be up against Zaha. So, although I've heard that Royale's actually quite a good defensive player. He's known for going forward and being quite good going forward. But I've heard he's quite good defensively as well. So that's why I'm selecting Doherty. Not because I want to play him there. I just think that's how Nuno will go.
I'm going to say Emerson Royale with cheese comes straight into the side because I think he started a game for Barcelona before his transfer this season. He's clearly fit, able. I saw a comment. He hasn't picked up the lingo. Yeah, he's got some English lessons to take, but football's fairly universal on the pitch in terms of language. So, I would imagine. You
think he's going to understand? Fucking run around a bit.
Dyer, like yell at screaming at him like a meathead.
We're over the 12 minutes. All right.
Yeah, I think he will. Which would be a massive kick in the teeth for Doherty, to be perfectly honest, given that he's sort of the next in line potentially. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting times. It's the first real test of Nuno, isn't it, Dave? The first sort of his squad's been settled for the first 3 games. Now everyone's really looking at him to see has he got any tactical nous to mix it up and maximise the potential of the team. Testing times for Nuno, do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that it's been a challenging time for him because he's, as I said, he's seen 3 players wiped out due to quarantine, other players who've basically been injured. I mean, what is the latest position in terms of Premier League clubs being able to play Brazilian or other South American players who didn't go? Because they can't play them. Okay.
I thought that's what I read this week. Tell me if I'm wrong, anyone.
Well, I don't think anyone really knows, honestly. I think the rules are that Brazil will say that they can't play these players because they were unable to play international football, so therefore they're injured in effect for this game.
Yeah.
I don't know what's been decided. I suspect that's what's going to happen, that these players won't play. But how many Brazilians or South Americans do Palace have? Not that many.
No.
No, but I think. But my point is that I'm pleased. If that's the case, I'm hoping it's the case because then it's a level playing field for all the clubs rather than our kind of a bit of a farce when a lack of disciplinary reasons that 3 players decide that after being told by the club they'll still go off and play international football and we told them not to do so. So that's what there's a level playing field there. I mean, Nuno's had his challenges so far already. I thought he handled himself superbly over the whole Kane saga.
You did.
I had a quick look at the press conference before being on today, and I think he handles the press very well because he's actually not that bothered about being liked by the press or having a press persona. I think he's more interested in the work he does on the training ground, which I think is really refreshing for us.
Yeah.
And the thing with Nuno is that, that sounds a lot like what AVB tried to do. I don't think AVB was particularly friendly with the press and was quite dismissive at times, and they ate him alive for it at the end of it. They were trying to find reasons. And so like Nuno right now with a smile on his face, everything's okay. They can't attack him because he's top of the league. Top of the league.
Enjoy it for the last day, potentially.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I love that about Nuno, that he just doesn't seem to care and he'll answer the questions how he wants. But I just think that given Spurs' history, if things start going wrong, he'll be very easy pickings for the media, and they won't give up. They'll just take him on as much as they can.
Well, lots of chat coming in. We're going to get through a few of these now. In between all of that,
did you like AVB, HG?
No, I don't. I mean, maybe with how he talks with the press. I don't think as a manager they're very similar. But AVB was very much like, he had an argument, was it Neil Ashton, about the whole "we is us" business. He was pretty dismissive about the press, and they didn't like that, obviously. Yeah. And so if Nuno starts to do similar things, they'll do the same to Nuno. Like the fact that he's not at Wolves anymore means he won't get away with it. Yeah. Like that, they will attack him a lot more because it's Spurs, and so it works really well when you're winning. But he doesn't give them the sound bites that Redknapp did or that Martin Jol did. And so it's very much, he can play a straight bat and he can refuse to answer questions and they're okay with it. But that's because we're winning. I think if we stop winning, then he'll get a lot more crap.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think Hill should start tomorrow with no Sonny. He may be ruled, but seems to have a spot. Is he left wing or right wing? I think he's left wing. But Shan, I can't remember what you said. Would you put Hill in on the left?
Yeah, I put Hill in on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, obviously he's young and quite inexperienced, but I think something like that could just be what we need to unlock Palace. They're not going to know what to expect from him, and he's quite tricky. I think he draws fouls. He did a brilliant piece of skill. I can't remember what game it was for Spain's under-21 where he hit it and it went around the player, and then he just some of the skill he has.
His legs or something.
It weren't through his legs. It was around. The club tweeted it, but it was brilliant. And I think that could just be a little bit of what we need. Obviously, if we've not got Sonny, then there's no reason not to. He's been playing well in the Conference League. Even the Pasos game, I think he was probably our best player on the day. So, yeah, I think give him a shot, see what he can do. There's no harm in that.
Okay. What else have we got here? Lots of opinion on.
Do the big blue one, caller. Do the big blue one.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. I wasn't that low down. I hadn't scrolled down. Sorry. Silent the pictures. Super chat. Thanks very much for your support. Then this is a very good question. Anyone think Tongi will be involved this week? So I'll go around you all briefly. Brad, let's start with you, mate.
I don't think he'll be in the first 11, possibly on the bench, but not in the first 11, no.
Do you see him being starting on Thursday, perhaps?
I think that's more likely, yeah, because he's in the squad now, isn't he? Whereas before he wasn't. Now he's in the Conference League squad. So I think, and I mean, he's given the usual sort of, I'm going to really knuckle down now, like he's had 2 seasons running. He's got to, isn't he? He's got to. I mean, it's his career, really. I think this is his last season, last chance to make it in the Premier League. He may not be a Premier League player. It might be just as simple as that. He might not be suited to the Premier League. But we will see. He's certainly a very talented player, and certainly a player, if we're 0-0 against Palace with 10 minutes to go, certainly a player I'd like to see come on that can unlock things. So, but I don't think he'll start, no.
Dave, you probably love Tongi. I've got, I'm just forecasting it because you love flair players. What are your thoughts on can he feature this weekend?
Firstly, Silent Dov Pictures. That's a great name. Very cool. Nice one. I mean that. Tanguy, I find him very frustrating. Yeah, I mean, I do love my Flair players. We've been brought up on it with Hoddles and Waddles, etc. But it's 3 seasons running now. There's got another problem with another manager. Yeah. I liked what Nuno said. I mean, Nuno, what he said about him in the press conference was like, he said exactly the same thing as he said about Kane. He's our player, and he's involved now, which I think he's handled that well. This might be an opportunity. He won't start. He'll be on the bench. But the opportunity perhaps for him is that maybe you reshape the formation where he's playing off Kane, so he doesn't have to worry about running around and getting back to help out the defence, which clearly he's had a problem doing that because he's never been fit enough to do it. So I've said about him and Lo Celso at the start of this season, this is their last season with us. If they can't prove and come good, then they've got to go.
Okay. HG, I know you did a piece about him and managers the other day, which I thought dovetailed, no pun intended, beautifully into Dave's point.
I'm very much still on the Ndombele train, if only for the fact that I think that, as I've said plenty of times on here before, he spent 18 months under Mourinho. Mason to me doesn't count. Poch to me doesn't count because he played under Poch. So the question is, he hasn't played for Nuno, but Nuno wouldn't consider him because he wasn't, this is our first game since the window shut. So we had lots of players before the window closed, like Aurier didn't get involved, even though he, in effect, could have. I just think that now he's around, he'll be involved. There is part of me that wants him to start tomorrow, even though I know it won't happen. There is part of me that thinks that if we do go 3 at the back, then having Højbjerg and Ndombele as a midfield 2 might actually be decent. But yeah, I think if I was Harry Winks, how would you feel if that happened? I mean, Harry Winks has obviously trained all summer. He's obviously got himself back into contention. Nuno seems to like him and trust him a little bit, even though the club were trying to sell him. And then suddenly that would happen. I mean, that would be pretty rough for him. So, I don't think it will happen. But Ndombele, to me, he will play every Conference League game. And if he plays well in those games, and they won't all be easy. In fact, I think the first one is probably the hardest game we've got when we go to France. Yeah. So if he plays well in France and he starts to show the things that we know he can do, then he'll be involved. He'll be involved in the Chelsea game, in the Arsenal game, even if it's just off the bench. He will be involved in the squad because if we're missing 3 to 6 players this weekend and only 3 of them are definite to come back, then Ndombele will be there. I think that the issues that he's had, and some of it is down to him, but a lot of those issues have come because we had a manager that fell out with everyone. And weirdly enough, he actually played Ndombele an awful lot last season. And people seem to think that he didn't. I don't understand. He scapegoated him, but he certainly played him last season. I think he played 28 out of the 33 league games or something like that Mourinho had last season. So I don't know. I want to think that there are reasons as to why we haven't seen what we know we can do. And a lot of that has been Mourinho's tactics.
Shannon, briefer answer.
Right, okay. I couldn't give a shit about Harry Winks' feelings. I'd rather see Ndombele over Winks if Skip isn't in for contention. So that's me done.
Yeah, absolutely echo that. I couldn't care less whether Winks has worked hard all year and been a really good boy and going to get lots of presents off Santa, as long as he's nowhere near the first team. So Ndombele has got more ability in his left toe than Winks has got his entire body. So absolutely leave him out.
But this is it. Go on, you got. No, just think.
Bob Spur, massive super chat, £5. Thanks very much, Bob. Massive appreciate it. Massive shout out to you, my friend. Lose tomorrow, and there's every chance our confidence could be damaged going into the Chelsea and Arsenal games. Hence, I think tomorrow is must win. I'd absolutely agree with that. Brad, you feeling the same?
Yeah, I mean, these are the games, as I said before, that we have to win. Depending on what team that goes out tomorrow, my gut feeling, and this is only based on my 50, 60, 56, 55 or whatever years of supporting Tottenham. My gut feeling is tomorrow will be a draw. I know that everyone will hate me now on the chat, but that's my gut feeling. I don't think that will be... it's difficult. You raise yourself for the Chelsea game, you raise yourself for the Arsenal game, so I'm not so sure that a draw tomorrow would have that effect. But yeah, we have to win it, because if we're going to prove ourselves and say that we are a good team and we're capable of playing in the top for in the country, then you have to start beating your Palaces. It's no use, as I said before, beating the bigger teams and then losing or drawing against the other teams. So far, we've won at Wolves, we've beaten Watford, so we're doing it all right at the moment. So I think tomorrow we need to win, but I'm not so sure. I really hope that I'm wrong, and by all means, everyone have a go at me on Twitter if we win tomorrow. But it's going back to Tan Non-Belly. Have you noticed that he doesn't wear the beanie anymore, and he's got a new hairstyle?
He's got a fresh trim, new trim, new tangy.
Yeah, he
That's
has.
what I'm saying. Fuck Harry Winks. He can piss off.
Yeah, exactly. This is the new look, the new better than ever tangy on Non-Belly. Without the beanie. Which, I mean, to be fair, it was 28 degrees. Well, it wasn't back today, but it's been 28 degrees all week. So yeah, this could be. And the other thing I will say about Tangy on Non-Belly, I read an article by, I think it's Jack Pitt-Brooke, and he said that because he played pretty well under Mourinho, that when he got left out in the final, the League Cup final, which I think was an absolute travesty, that literally destroyed him, because he thought he'd put all that effort in to becoming a player, and then suddenly he gets left out of the biggest stage that he would have been on. And I don't think he recovered from that. So that might explain some of the sulkiness that's been going on lately. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that could be a reason. And I know that if I put a lot of effort in my job, and then my manager has a go at me about something and said, "You haven't done that," my attitude is, "Oh, I can't be buggered now. Sod it," So maybe that's the reason that he had the sulk. As I said, I'm not excusing it. I'm just trying to put another reason out there. But hopefully, hopefully he will. Hopefully he will come good. But yeah, this is his last season at Tottenham if it doesn't happen. So,
Shan, I'm going to go to you next. Dave, I'm not coming to you next. Just hold on to it. Just hold on to it for a minute. You'll get
they've gone.
You'll get your turn, because I'm going to get another beer. So I'm going to hand over to Shan briefly. But the point I was going to make was this, Shan, that Bob raises a really good point, because if we are serious about getting top four this season, this game is must win, isn't it? We've got to get a result out of it, because these are the kind of games, losing to Chelsea is not going to cost you top four. Losing to the Palaces of the world aren't you? And then HG, and then Dave, and then I'll be back with it. Then I'll be back reloaded with a pint.
Absolutely. I think, to be fair, against Palace away last season, I think Sanchez, the goalkeeper, had the game of his absolute life. How we did not run away with that game, I do not know. And then obviously we were sloppy at the back, and it was a 1-1 draw. We thrashed them at home. So 100%, these are the games that we should be winning, and we should be winning them comfortably. I do think we'll concede our first goal tomorrow, but I think we'll score more. So I think it'll probably be 2-1. I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be an entertaining watch. I think it'll be end-to-end stuff, a bit like a basketball match. But I agree with Bob Spur. I think, it's a must. Every game is must win. If we want to have elite mentality and we want to win things, every game has to be must win. We can't pick and choose what games we want to turn up for. So yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good about it, even if we're in a bit of a crisis with quarantine and prison, like players in jail and all that crap. So yeah,
Who's in jail?
well, it's a joke, Dave. You calm yourself down. But yeah, if we want to have elite mentality, every game is must win, whether it's before a game against the one Big Six team and one very, very bad team or not. Every game is must win if we want to win things. So yeah, I agree with Bob, but then I think Chelsea and Arsenal are must win games as well. What do you think, HG?
I want to hear from Dave, frankly. I want to hear from Dave.
Okay. All right. Just on your point, Brad, before about Ndombele having a sulk. I read that article as well, and that he's been in a sulk since the League Cup final. Well, I think you just have to look at one Mr. Lucas Moura, who scored a hat-trick in the semi-final of the Champions League, and he didn't get picked. And he's done interviews since about it and how it's been a disappointment. But whatever you would think about Moura and his failings and strengths as a player, his attitude has always, in my opinion, been spot on. And frankly, it's the mark of a person as to how they deal with disappointment and move on with those kind of things. And Ndombele, I just think it's got there's a real attitude issue there. So I don't have a huge amount of sympathy for that he got. Well, I have sympathy for the fact that he was dropped for Harry Winks. I mean, that's going to be a professional slur for any person. However, he should have just get on with it. That's what he's meant to do.
I totally agree with you, and the point about Lucas is incredibly valid. But I was only just put as a suggestion. I wasn't saying I felt any sympathy for him, but yeah, and you're right. Yeah, you have to. That's how you judge yourself. Is how you respond to disappointment. You come back stronger than ever, which he obviously didn't. So, but no, I think I totally agree with you. And as I say, I'm not offering any sympathy towards him. I'm just saying that's a possibility why he had that sulk. And of course, we're all different, so we're all made of different things, and we all respond differently. So,
there is a comment here which I think is a decent one from Paddy. We get a point tomorrow. 10 points from 4 games is a very good start. It's not a decent start. It's a pretty good start as far as Spurs are concerned. And I know that with Chelsea and Arsenal next, that could turn into a not so good start. But the thing is, we've beaten the champions at home, which, although we tend to do that, it's still something that no Spurs fan thinks that we're ever going to do. They're beating the big sides at home just feels like it was a fleeting moment 4 or 5 years ago when it happened regularly, but otherwise it doesn't really. And Pochettino's record wasn't great against them. So I think that a draw at Palace, yes, we want to be winning. Yes, Patrick Vieira is inexperienced in the Premier League as a manager and maybe not very good as a manager in the Premier League. Maybe we're worried so much about our own defence being rubbish that we should actually do what Shan said and go out there and try and just outscore them and win 3-2, whatever it takes to get the result, rather than worrying so much about getting a clean sheet. But yeah, it is a big game because it's the first game of the weekend, and we know that if we win it, we won't care about what happens after that. We'll just be Norwich fans for the rest of time. I mean, it's.
If someone said to you, okay, Palace, Chelsea, and Arsenal, you're going to get 7 points, but I'm not going to tell you where you're going to get them from, you'd probably take that, wouldn't you? I'd say.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's football's a funny game. You look at that. You probably look at that and say, "Oh, those 2 points could be vital at the end of the season." But if someone actually offered you 7 points from Chelsea, Arsenal, and Palace, you take it. So
and we're already points ahead of what I expected us to be. Because of the City game. So you just know that, given the fact that our squad is depleted for the reasons that it is, and we haven't played that well. We've won the games, but we haven't played great. Every Spurs fan, I mean, apart from the overly optimistic ones like Kohler, are probably thinking Palace away is tough. We do tend to beat them. We don't tend to lose there at all very often. But yeah, it's just not the type of game that any Spurs fan is ever confident about.
I just want to say, I don't think we've lost to Palace in 5 years or something.
No.
Like that.
Don't say that, Shan. Don't say that. I hate it. Oh no, don't say that. No.
It could only be worse if Nuno had got manager of the month. Then we were bound to lose.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah. Well, at least I didn't win player of the month. So yeah.
We'll definitely come on to that. Shan, how many glasses in are we now?
This is the third. You're on your third pint. You can say nothing. We know you had 2 stashed away, Paula.
The problem is when you start shouting "pipe down" at me, then I'll worry. We know what that means. Shan, staying with you, who do you think Palace's danger men are for this match? Who do you worry about? Or is it a case with Tanganga and Dyer at centre back? Everyone's a threat.
I think that's unfair. Look, if we're saying Nuno's coming in, it's a clean slate. Eric Dyer has kept a clean sheet in every game he's played in, so I think we need to put some respect on the Björn from Vikings lookalikes name. I think with Dyer and Tanganga at the back, I think we're pretty solid. Tanganga's obviously, I'd prefer to have Dyer and Sanchez at the back. Now, those are words that I never, ever, ever in my life thought would come out of my mouth. But, I mean, Palace have plenty of danger men, but I just don't see Palace as a team that really play that well. They've got quite a lot of gifted players, but none of them really play that well together. Like they sort of seem to be all over the place. I think. Where did they finish? They didn't finish. They finished like 14th or something last season, didn't they? Like with the players they've got, you'd think they'd be doing. I know they had Woy, And now they've got Vieira, who probably is even worse. So
he's trying to change the makeup of Palace, isn't he, Vieira? He's trying to get them to be a more attacking unit.
but they're shit defensively.
Absolutely.
So what's the point in doing that? They're just gonna, against teams that have better ammunition up front, they can't play like that because they're not very good defensively. So it's a bit similar to Leeds. Leeds against the big teams, they can only play one way. So when teams actually attack them, they don't know what to do because they're crap defensively, and they ship 5-6 goals. So yeah, I think Palace. I don't want to.
Go on, sorry.
I don't want to write them off and disrespect them or anything, but I just think with all the talent they've got in that team, young talent. I mean, I think that their star players want to prove themselves too much, and with that comes an element of selfishness. So they all want to look like the star man. They all want to outdo each other, and with that, they don't play as a team. I think that might be their issue.
It's a good time to play Palace because they have switched half their team around. It's a really good time to play Palace. They've got 2 draws so far. They drew against Brentford at home. You'd like to think that we could do better than what Brentford did. Even though we have a new manager, the players that we've had, a lot of them have been at the club for a while. They do know what's going on. So I just Palace are that team where we know that they're capable of beating teams pretty often. Or they have the ability to do that, but they don't. Zaha, as far as I'm concerned, he's at the perfect club for him. He should never go anywhere else because if he went somewhere else, they'd expect a lot more. And Palace fans seem to be happy with what he does, which to me isn't really enough. They've got some decent young players. We're fortunate that Easy is out because he was a really good player last season. They bought the guy from Reading. What's his name? Michael Olise. I don't think he's played for them, but he was a really good prospect in the Championship last year. So he'll come in. They bought Will Hughes from Watford, who's kind of that too good for the Championship, maybe not good enough for the Premier League player. And they've got a manager that hasn't won in the Premier League yet. So if Palace had Roy in charge, I'd probably be even less optimistic. But we can go out and beat this team. Conor Gallagher's a good player, but we can go out and beat this Palace side. It's just that we've got to take the chances and we've got to hope that they don't.
Yeah, I'm laughing at some of the comments.
I just want to say, I've been trying to find Palace fans that are worthy of the cheese room, and to be honest, I struggled other than the one guy that has a social life. And one of them has hair that looks like, who's the guy, the woman out of Wallace and Gromit whose hair sticks out on the side? His hair's like this, and he's like, glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur that can't win trophies. Arsenal will finish above Spurs. Spurs will finish in 8th. So now I just dislike Palace even more. It's similar. When their fans are shit, I'm just like, fuck off.
But no one hates you. Hate them more or less than the Manchester City fans who seem to get you a Twitter ban every other day.
I mean, obviously, I hate City fans probably more than Arsenal fans, and that's just because they've got a bit of saving grace because my dad's an Arsenal fan and he's actually all right. City fans are horrendous. And speaking of City fans, because I know Paul has plugged me perfectly there, has everyone seen what's going around Twitter where City had to pay influencers to come and watch their Champions League games because they can't sell tickets?
It is 2 years ago.
But whether it's 2 years ago or now, it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. But yeah, I just think, like I say, Palace something about them doesn't. They've got the tools to do better and to be more of a mid-table team, but it just seems like every year they're sort of in and around that relegation fight, but sort of come out of it. They're not quite in it, but they're not far away. Similar to how Wolves and Southampton were last season. Like I say, if we want to have an elite mentality, we should be winning every game, and Palace shouldn't be a team that scares us either.
No. So in other words, no one's a danger man. Don't give a fuck what they do. We're just gonna have them.
The thing is,
yes.
if we sat here with the same team that had won the first 3 games, we'd all be a lot more confident. But because we know that the players are gone and that we don't really know how we're going to show up, we're worried about them because we're worried about ourselves. Like if you look at the Palace side, like what the results that they've had, they're already out of the Carling Cup, whatever it's called now. Like Carabao, is it still Carabao? I don't know. But it is. It's like I think Palace are perhaps a bit more progressive than they were under Roy. But sod that, like they're not winning, and under Roy they were winning enough. And I think there are lots of teams at that end of the table that if they have a goal scorer, they can finish mid-table comfortably, and if they don't, they'll finish somewhere between 14th and 20th. Leeds are a pretty good example. I think Bamford last year got a lot of goals for them, so they finished comfortably mid-table.
Yeah.
Palace, even they bought the guy from Celtic. No one really knows how good he's going to be. Huh?
You got Eze, haven't they?
Eze's out because he did his Achilles. So like
it's to worry about that. To be honest, he's the only one I'll worry about.
Everyone goes on about
what you mean by that,
Zaha.
Caller? What you mean by that is he's the only one you've heard of.
Zaha.
Zaha, like every commentators will bang on about Zaha, but I've watched enough Palace YouTube over the last week trying to find a Palace fan, and none of them rate Zaha. It's really strange because everyone has this perception of Zaha being like the Harry Kane of Crystal Palace, like their talisman, their best player. But like my point, he's just too selfish. He's too in it for himself, and he doesn't do well in a team. He doesn't play as a team, and that's their problem. They've got a lot of talent. And like you said, Zaha is at his level. I think put him in a. Would he start in Spurs' starting 11? Would he get in? No.
Talking of teamwork, we've got over 110 people watching this broadcast. Only 40 something likes. So be a team player and hit that like button for us right now. Blow the damn thing up. Brad, I'm going to come to you. Skip. Massive miss for us. He's been sort of an unsung, unseen hero, hasn't he? First 3 games, he's done the dirty work.
You know what? I mean, I've heard a lot about him because I think obviously if anyone, as we probably all do, watches Ali Gold, he's been going on about Oliver Skip for some time now.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well done.
And obviously he was Norwich's Player of the Year. Yeah, it's the Championship, 1 league below us, But when I saw him in the friendly games, to me, I thought, this is a decent player. A really good player. Certainly an upgrade on Winks and Mason and Carroll, all these sort of players. And it's really weird. He's played 3 league games, and it's like, oh no, Skip could be missing. So he must be a decent player. If I'm thinking, wow, I don't want to lose Skip, and he's only played 3 Premier League games. So yeah, I think his partnership with Højbjerg it's going to become pretty good. Over 3 games, they look to have a solid partnership there. And I think he reads the game really well. Now, I'm no brilliant tactician, but from what I can see, is he reads the game really, really well. Is in the right place at the right time, puts the tackles in. He has to maybe be a bit careful with putting those tackles in and getting booked early. So maybe he has to sort of change his game. Well, not change his game, but just sort of, playing his game a little better that way. But again, he's only a young lad. He's got years ahead of him, hopefully. He is my outside pick for the England squad for the World Cup in Qatar. He's my outside pick for that. But no, I think he's done very well. And I think, if he plays tomorrow, that's great. And I hope he does. Because, you have to look at who's going to replace him. I think we've got a big squad. It's just the quality is not there for replacing top players. We've got a few light for light replacements, but when you have a player like Skip or Son or whoever, we haven't got their sort of replacements to replace them. But what was the question again? No, I think Skip. No, I think Skip. Yeah, I think he's going to be a very, very good player.
I think Eddie Ryan might be the only one who doesn't rate Skip highly. I've talked to him about him a lot. But there's another question here for you, Brad. Have you ever met Ledley King?
Well, Cody, sadly, no, I haven't. I haven't met Ledley King, and I don't think I've even had a chance. The only thing I will say about Ledley King is that my knee has been playing me up really, really badly. So I can actually walk and run, but after that, I can't train during the week. So I can play games but can't train. So yeah.
Shan, how many likes are we talking for a
Let me just.
do you want a live count? Do you want to know?
I better like it myself, eh?
Hang on a minute.
There's 52 likes, 115 people watching.
If we get to 100 likes, I'll down it.
Right, you know what to do if you want to see that spectacle, and all that comes after it as well. There's no Man City fans here to abuse tonight. Just me presenting and these lovely guys. So if you want to see us abused and shout down a chin, get
5 likes
over there. That's what I mean.
Go back to Skip. Do we think that Skip is being more highly rated because we've won 3 games? And that helps his reputation. Like if he'd played the same but we hadn't won, maybe he wouldn't look as good. I think some of Skip, we're just happy that we're winning because it means that Winks isn't going to play. So Skip is almost his reputation is increasing by comparison. Like nobody wants Ndombele in the side, nobody wants Winks in the side. Lo Celso is kind of in and out of holiday. Skip suddenly I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Skip is a really good player, but I do think there is some of that where it's like, hang on a second, Skip has made it better for Højbjerg, so Skip's really good and he holds the middle all by himself, which let's face it, he does. But I don't know if I don't know how I feel about what he's done. Like I'm happy that we're winning, but yeah, he's still 21 next week. He's still really young, really, really young.
We lost a lot of games last season, but we didn't sort of thinking, Højbjerg's not as good as we first thought.
Yeah.
So there is that.
I did. I was dissing him at the end of the season. I love this. Is this going to be a repeat of the time Brendan had been at a barbecue all day? That's the time he fell off his chair while he was live on YouTube. Brendan is absolutely shit-faced. He's wonderful.
I think the thing that worries me with Skip is the amount of fouls he gives. He does just outside the box. It's almost Aurier-esque. Everything else he does is really good.
Hang on.
No, but it's true. In every game, he's given away a free kick on the edge of the box.
He has, but he's not Aurier-esque. If he was Aurier-esque, he'd be in the box.
Yeah, but a couple of inches further forward, it's still a free kick in a dangerous position. You can't do that against teams with set piece specialists. Like do that against Southampton, you fucked. So yeah, I just think he's done really, really well, and I think he's performing above what many of us expected him to, even though he had that good season at Norwich. All the Norwich squad had a good season at Norwich last season, but that's the Premier League's a different kettle of fish, and let's be honest, they have not really covered themselves in glory so far. So beat Arsenal, and it'll be different. But Skip just worries me. He's a bit rash on the edge of the box, and I think he needs to make better decisions sometimes. But that will come with age. He's like KG says, he's very young still.
Bit of a 6-pointer, isn't it? Norwich versus Arsenal. He'd have thought we'd see a relegation 6-pointer at this stage of the season.
We talk about us going to Palace with this, mentality to win every game. You bet Norwich have circled that fixture and thought we're going to win there. Yeah. We're gonna win that one.
That is what we've got to win. That is, if we're going to keep our noses clear of relegation, absolutely. Dave, Palace have had 10 players in, permanent or loan, including Anderson, Hughes, and a couple of loanees, and 11 out. Do you think that's workable for Vieira to stay in the Premier League this season whilst completely changing the club's philosophy in terms of how they play football? I mean, it's like a 20-player turnaround plus a change in tactics and formation. Vieira, what's your view? I know I'm going over slightly old ground, but I don't think I've heard your full view on this. Huge undertaking, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the thing with Palace is that the big talk last season was they had a very aging squad. I think they had one of the oldest squads in the Premier League. So it was always going to be the question that they wanted to do, and they had a lot of players who were actually going to be out of contract as well. So there was always going to be that massive churn for them. And the 3 games that they've played so far, they were at Chelsea away first game of the season, so that's always going to be a tough one. The Brentford game, you would have imagined they'd have got something out of that more than just a draw. I had a quick look at the West Ham goals before last night, and that the Chelsea, I can't remember his name. Actually, you mentioned his name. The guy they got from Chelsea on loan, he got the 2 goals. He looked quite a good player actually in that clips. And West Ham's defending on the right hand side of the defence was shocking. So going forward, they looked like they had something about them, but the defensive solidity doesn't seem to be there from previous seasons that they had under Roy. Vieira, I think Vieira came in. Actually, he came in just after Nuno. So if we don't think Nuno had enough time, Vieira's had a little bit less time with them, and they've had a massive turnaround as well. So I think that massive amount of churn, Vieira will need time. As we all saw, was it with Frank de Boer? He got 3 games and then he was out. I don't think he had that massive churn of players, so he'll need time. Vieira, he's unproven. It didn't end well for him at Nice, I think. And then he was at one of City's many clubs in their oil empire. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said oil.
You'll get a Twitter ban for that, Dave.
You will get a
If I was on Twitter, yeah. So it's a gamble for them, which means I think for the game tomorrow, we should be, if we want to get top 4, we've got to win there. It's one of the games we've got to win at if we want to get top 4. It's as simple as that.
I agree. That's exactly what I said about 20 minutes ago. Best Spurs versus Palace memories then. Can you all think of any? I'll go first just to get mine in. So the opening game of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I was there, first ever game, competitive game in the Premier League, and under the lights, amazing night. And they gifted us with a victory that night from being really placid. Fantastic night. Everyone had a good time. Everyone went home really happy. Right, over to you. Shan, you got a good memory of a game against Crystal Palace? Shan, are you with me? Are you there?
Hello.
I'll come back to you, Shan. HG, I'll talk to you first.
Shan's frozen.
Despite the fact that people probably remember the goal that Dele scored there, where he really kind of announced himself, I think it was the season after we went there on a Monday night, and we won 1-0, and Eriksen scored from like 45 yards right in the bottom corner.
Yeah.
That was one of those goals where you went, fucking hell. Like it just, like there was no finesse to it whatsoever. He just put his foot through it and it arrowed into the bottom corner. And it was, last 10 minutes of the game, it was a really important goal. So there aren't too many Spurs Palace memories over the years, but that one sticks out.
Shan, I've got to say you're safe so far. There's only 61 likes, 122 people watching.
Do you know what? I've just tried to Google Spurs and Crystal Palace moments, and there is nothing. There is literally nothing. I mean, my good memory is that we seem to beat them more than we don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll take that. Dave, any advance on that? You remember the 70s. What have you got for us?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I've got 2 memories. So one's from the 70s when we were in the old 2nd division. We played them at home. I think it was a 2-2 draw, and I just started going. So that was one. The second one, and I hope you don't mind all indulging me here tonight, and Cheesehead's watching as well, was the Palace game where Son, I think, made his debut and scored his first goal for the club. I'd come over from Australia with my 2 boys, Jack and Thomas. It was their first ever game at the old White Hart Lane. So for me, it was a special moment for me, passing it down through the family that I got to take my sons to see a game. I'd just like to apologise for my indulgence there.
No, don't apologise. That's great. Brad, any memories that can top any of those?
I don't think I can, because I'm probably with you and HG. I mean, the opening night at the stadium, which opening night with the singers and all that sort of thing.
Go Compare Man was there.
Yeah, exactly. What more could you ask for? And it was sort of like it was a game that could have gone topsy turvy, and the night could have been ruined. And then, I was at the Eriksen goal game as well. And I also think the atmosphere itself is really, really good. And that was maybe because where the supporters are and that sort of thing. But that was good. I think that was. We were on the verge of top 4, weren't we? We had to really win games to get to top 4. We couldn't really afford to slip up. I think I remember saying to a friend at work on the way before I went to the games, we've got to win this because our season top four could finish tonight if we don't win. And the atmosphere was great. And then we scored, 4 or 5 minutes from the end? Or might have been 10 minutes. And it was that Ericsson goal. And where I was watching, you literally side onto the goal. So the only reason you knew it had got in because they all started celebrating. You couldn't really see whether it had got in or not. But, everyone started celebrating. And they all celebrated in front of us as well. And I think that was the first time that Musa Sissoko had a chance from memory. Because they all came over.
If you remember that, Jesus Christ, it's a low bar being set.
I think it was. They all came over to the side at the end of the game to watch fans, and that's when I think the Musa Sissoko chant. And the first time I ever heard the Toby, older, we're old. The tongue was like the first time I heard that one as well. So yeah. And I also got interviewed by a Swedish Spurs fanzine outside the ground. So
there you go. Nice. Swedish Spurs. Cody, Matt, this is a good point. Cade's worldie last year gets an honorary mention.
Wow.
What a goal that was! If you haven't seen it, Doherty got the assist. It was incredible. One of those assists where he basically just passes it to him and he smashes it in the top corner. Quiz question for you all. I like this. Dave's prepared the run sheet lovingly, so Dave obviously knows the answer to this. I don't because there's no answer on the run sheet. So, Dave, is it okay if I'm a participant in my own quiz?
Yeah, I know that we've had issues with quizzes this week and stuff like that. So, will you do whatever you want to do?
I'll tell you what. You do the question, and I'll be a willing participant. How's that?
All right, hang on a minute. I've got to remember what
I was going to get myself another beer, but you'll probably all think I'm going to Google the answer.
You can all play along at home. You play along at home.
Okay. Now, I've been to Selhurst Park a lot. I've also got a notoriously bad sense of direction. I once drove there from North London and ended up at Twickenham for some reason. That's not the quiz question. Okay. And England were playing rugby that day. So I have been to Selhurst Park, where I've seen Tottenham play 3 different teams at Selhurst Park in the Premier League. Can you name them?
Ooh,
I'm gonna have a go.
2,
3.
3.
Yeah. Oh no. Yes.
I'm going to guess 3. I know 2, but I think I know the third.
I know 3.
I feel like this is before my time, so I'm just going to go with what everyone else is saying and say 3.
I think we all know the same 2, but it's the.
Yeah, and I think Caller should know the third. So yeah.
Charlton.
Yeah.
Ah, right.
That's
yeah, because Charlton did the same thing that Wimbledon did, but there was only 2 seasons, maybe 1 or 2 seasons.
2 years, I think.
Played at Selhurst, yeah.
Definitely before my time.
John Dubby's got it.
Oh yeah, well, there you go. Wimbledon, Palace, and Charlton.
Yeah.
Didn't West Ham play there once at one point as well?
Well, yeah, they play there every season when they play Palace.
No, I mean,
he's here all night, ladies and gentlemen.
I thought they rocked up the caravan there at some stage and used it as a ground at some.
No, I think Charlton played at Upton Park.
That's right. That's where I'm getting.
Yeah.
Charlton were nomads because the valley was in bits, wasn't it?
That's right. So that's right. The answer is Wimbledon, Palace, and Charlton.
Was there a caravan joke coming there, HG? I could see.
No more jokes. That was enough.
Well, my comment was the other time was Harry Kane. If Harry Kane scored all these goals for Andorra, would he be an Andorran goat?
Get a beer, Brad. Get a beer. Treat yourself.
I have to click the mute, didn't I?
I can do that for you.
There you go.
There you go. Nuno, manager of the month. Curse. What are you saying, Shan? Is this HG? You alluded to this earlier. Is this what was it? Jose last season we were top of the league, won manager of the month, and then after that point it just all went to shit.
It's not just Spurs managers. I mean, this is a curse. Like you do well, and the first game back you start losing. I mean, it doesn't. Sometimes it's no more than one game, but there's this kind of like, oh, now everyone's going to focus on how well you're doing, and it all falls apart. But yeah, it's great that we got it because he deserved it because the only team that's won every game.
Yeah,
but
he couldn't really. Like it.
Yeah, exactly. If it hadn't been him, then it would be that there was the media agenda against Spurs would have been in full swing. Shan's dog.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
She just cracked you.
She just
Yeah.
cracked me in the nose.
63 likes, Shan. 120 people watching. Guys, if you want to see Shan down a litre of gin, hit the
Oh,
like
whoa,
button
whoa,
now.
whoa. I haven't got a litre left. This is all that's left in the bottle.
Okay, if you want to get down that, hit the like button now. Get to 100 likes, and it's on like Donkey Kong. HG international break. What is the body count now? I can't quite remember.
I don't think anyone knows, right? But it felt like, especially on Tuesday was the worst day, where it felt like every single Spurs player that had played somehow got injured, apart from Højbjerg, who it seems to be more robot than human. Yeah, look, these games have to happen. Like, what do we want? Do we want players who aren't good enough to play for their countries? Like, it sucks. It does suck, and like obviously the squad, especially in defensive areas, could be better. But it just seems to be the perfect storm, right? It's not ideal for anyone, but we definitely got the wrong end or the raw end of everything this week. So I think we were all kind of happy that Kane came through unscathed, because it's not that long ago since he was playing.
They were giving it a good go as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
In the end,
We've done a few times.
Poland were twatting him around the pitch. I was losing my head.
Yeah, I mean, like, having lived in Poland, that is, they're very passionate people about their country. It's not too surprising that they'll do anything that they can to make sure they get the win. But if it was Klopp, he'd be complaining. Wednesday night game to a Saturday morning. We can't have that. But that's what we've got to do. And so we've just got to get on with it and hope that the injuries to Son or Bergwijn or Skip or whoever it was, Sessegnon, we haven't mentioned his name, probably because he wouldn't have been involved anyway. But it's sad but true.
Bench, that's about it.
Yeah, it might have been. So it's rough, but like, Nuno likes the small squad anyway. We know that, right? So had we changed a couple more people, Dombele would have been sold, and maybe we use that money or loaned in and out. Would they have been any better? Do you know what I mean? We bought a right back, which is what we wanted. Centre halves, we're missing two, but we've still got Rodon and Dyer and Tanganga. Tanganga is one of those players that, to me, every time I think, Tanganga's in the team, I'm a bit nervous, but he's never really done anything wrong in the Premier League. The worst thing you can say about Tanganga is that he's not attacking. And when you play fullback, that it kind of shows up a little bit more. But as a defender, I think he's done really, really well for Spurs. It's rough that maybe I'm not the only one, but I do kind of think that Tanganga, you get a bit nervous thinking he's going to get found out, but he hasn't been so far. He really hasn't.
We're up to 70 odd likes now, 68. So 132 people watching. If you're just tuning in, this is the Cheese Room podcast. We welcome everybody here. Drop a comment and definitely drop a like, because if we get to 100, Shan will down her gin. Sorry, interrupting. Brad, there you go, mate. Take it away.
I forget what I was saying now. What was I saying? About internationals,
injuries, the amount of injuries, suspensions we've had, and
suspensions.
Tanganga, you wanted to say something about Tanganga?
Right, yeah, Tanganga. He seems to play well in big games. I mean, his debut against Liverpool was very, very good. The one thing I will say about him this season was he had a really at right back against slight players like Grealish and Sterling. He was able to use his strength, and he played very, very well and kept them out of the game. When he came up against Traore, not so much. Now, Traore's final ball is rubbish anyway, so it didn't really matter. But when Traore was going down that wing, really, he seemed to struggle a little bit there. And I think the same against Watford for about the first 10 minutes. But then he sort of came good. So as a right back, I think maybe against strong wingers, he might suffer. Zaha, if Zaha's on his side, doesn't come into that, I think he can have a good game against Zaha, although Zaha will probably be rolling around the floor claiming free kicks anyway. But I don't think you had that when you're a centre half. You've got that, you're muscling with a player, and you've got to compete that way. Whereas if you're playing at right back and that guy's coming at you at 100 mile an hour, he's big and strong. It's a bit more difficult to deal with. So that's my only doubt. Well, not doubt. That's the only thing about Tanganga, but he's definitely going to be a good player. Definitely. I mean, he's been around for a lot. He's been around for a lot longer than people think as well. So, but yeah.
Question about your gin there, Shan. Do you know what
Do you know
gin?
what? I'm going to show my gin as long as you promise not to be a snob. Because I know you have gin snobbery.
What?
Go on then. Let's see it.
That's a bit
It's
hot.
obvious. It's the classic Gordon's pink, isn't it?
Oh.
On my wages, this is all I can afford. But cooler,
let's not
obviously.
start that again.
Do you not drink? Do you not drink Hendrix? I drink Hendrix.
I don't mind Hendrix.
Dave.
Hendrix is nice, but
What,
it's
Jimmy?
out of my price range, Dave. I'm buying a house. Like I've got furniture, gin. I mean, I'm quite happy. I quite like the taste of Gordon's pink. It's quite refreshing and
I'll
fruity.
be honest, it's not the worst thing I've ever had.
Do you have to be left-handed to drink Hendrix gin?
I am left-handed. So, yeah.
I wonder how many people get that joke. Probably about 3 people.
Jimi Hendrix got you right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
but I am left-handed. But look, the thing is, Sean, is that I haven't been anywhere in 3 or 4 months, so I can afford to get Hendrix in because I'm not spending money on going out. It's very easy. That and takeaways. I just on the point about Tanganga is that I kind of think we might veer to playing 3 at the back this season because we've got about 6 players in the squad who can play in the central defensive positions, right? You've got Davis, Romero, Dyer, Tanganga, Roden, and Sanchez. We've got 6 of them. So I think ultimately we'd be better off playing with 3 at the back and wing backs because we've got players who are capable, who are better off playing more advanced as wing backs and getting crosses in. I think Tanganga, he was excellent against City because we were defending a lot of the time, and I thought against Wolves, the first 15 minutes he was struggling with Traore, but I think he got more into the game, and I think he looked after Traore Bella as the game went on. I think where his limitations are in terms of going forward was shown against Watford because he looked very tentative when he got the ball on the right and he was moving forward and he was looking to do the safe pass in and wasn't really getting to the byline and getting the cross in. So I think Tanganga's better position is to play in the centre. So I think that would look that's what should happen with him going long term.
Dave, do you think that's a confidence thing that sort of crossing, that he's not confident at the moment to sort of put the first time crosses in, and that's why he chooses the safe pass? Probably,
yeah. But I do think that he is kind of like an old-fashioned defender in that he defends. But the game's moved on now, where your fullbacks are really kind of your ancillary wingers these days. And then you are looking at the way the game's developed over the last 10, 15 years, is that you are looking for players to be coming out of the defence with the ball. Like your Rio Ferdinand is kind of really the first of this kind of last 20 years of where you've got more of a ball playing centre half. But I think that, as I said, there's nothing wrong with him kind of being the enforcer. And you've got someone like Romero who presumably is more comfortable on the ball, bringing it out from defence. And, maybe Roden as well. So that's where I see Tanganga's best position.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Fuck me, you still going, Dave? Specialist in failure, Arsene Wenger apparently wants a World Cup every 2 years. And a Confederation tournament or Euros every other year. HG, I've not heard your dulcet tones for a while on this. What are your thoughts on this?
A man who works for FIFA wants a competition that will make FIFA lots of money. Yeah, conflict of interest. Look, I love football. I would watch more football. I really would, but the players, they do need a break. I'm not one of those people who subscribes to the whole, well, they get paid a fortune, so they should work harder than the rest of us, or work as hard as we do, or whatever. It's elite athletics. I don't know of any sport really that has the kind of running that football players go through and plays every 3 days if they're really good. I watch a lot of Aussie rules. Their games are once a week. You never play more often than that, really. And so I just think that given the fact that the best players get maybe, if they're lucky, 3 weeks off between the end of one season and the start of another. When there's an international tournament, no. Every 2 years, no. I like having Euros when we do. I like having a World Cup when we do. With all the other tournaments, the Copa America and the Cup of Nations and all the rest of it, leave things as they are. I don't like it. The smaller countries around the world will benefit because the money is good for them, right? I mean, there's no doubt about that. They would like to be involved. I don't think anyone in North America or Central America really cares about the Gold Cup or whatever it's called. That they would love to have a World Cup more often. But if the European countries and the South American countries aren't interested, then it becomes the Poundland version of the World Cup. If the best teams aren't in it, then does it really matter?
And also, we've got the Euros every 4 years and the World Cup every 4 years, so we have a tournament every 2 years anyway. So, you're right. You're right. It's FIFA wanted to make more money.
Shannon, are you aware of there's another Top Gun film coming out this year?
Surely they're all too old to do another Top Gun film.
No, Tom Cruise is in mint condition, not many miles on the clock. And one of the songs in that is Danger Zone, wonderful song, which is where you are now, my love. So we've got 80 likes.
Right.
What I'm saying
Just popped up my glass, so if you want to get there, you better get there quick before
ready
it's
to
gone.
go. So come on. If there's 140 odd people watching, honestly, if you hit the like button now, there's a good chance Shan's got down the bottle of gin.
No, the bottle, the glass. I'm not doing the whole bottle, Jesus. No, but can I give my opinion on the World Cup now, please?
Right. Absolutely. Now I've got that anecdote out of the way. That's fine, yeah. Carol, crack on.
I think it'd be farcical to expect football players to do a full season. Obviously, most players that play for their national teams are playing European football and club, like for their club as well. So they're playing 2 or 3 games a week. To then expect them to play a tournament every single summer with next to no rest, with barely any pre-season, and to expect them to be able to stay fit and stay healthy and not get injured is absolutely ridiculous. Arsene Wenger is a fucking prick and should keep his opinions to himself because he's just after the money. Honestly, he's a fucking idiot and we all knew that anyway. So why are we listening to anything that he wants to say? Honestly.
I did not see it.
How is he even still working? He's like older than my nan, isn't he? How old is he now?
Yeah,
like 90?
They're about the same age. I think he's 70, almost 72.
And this is before she's down the bottle of gin. That's what I'm saying. How much is left in the bottle, Shan? I mean, it's on,
isn't it?
A fair chunk.
It's on, isn't it? And then the other great news is, and Dave-O, I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. Daniel Levy is representing the Premier League at the European Club Association, which is the group that we withdrew from to join the Super League, and then fast as you like rejoined afterwards. And now he's going to be the in effect the British representation on it. What kind of value do you think he'll add to that committee, Dave?
Well, the thing I loved about this whole Super League thing that kicked off is that there are some Spurs fans who are going that, this is an awful idea, it's a disgrace. And then in the very next breath, they said, it's great. What a great job Levy's done getting us at the table that we got invited to this competition. So it's a bit like your mate comes up to you and says, do you want to go and do a bank robbery? And you go, well, that's a stupid idea, but thanks for asking me. I must have something about I should be involved in a bank robbery. So Daniel, look, I think Daniel, so how long are these meetings? If these meetings are about 3 hours in length, Daniel will drag it out for 10 hours and wait for the very last minute to decide how we should negotiate the lunch order and the sandwiches.
He's been playing this all day. He's been playing this in his head all day, Dave, I tell you.
Well, I did write that question and I knew it was going to come to me. I just find it amazing. But there's nothing about football and the way that football's run and the business of football that surprises me anymore. That one of the architects of a breakaway from that committee and forming a European Super League has now been asked to represent Britain at this committee. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, with Wenger, he is the man who gave Igor Stefanovs the living in North London. So any idea that comes from him is always amusing. And that's the reality of the situation. So Daniel Levy representing us in a European forum, it'll be same for Britain. It will be nil point at the Euros.
You're looking a bit safer now, Shan. There's 155 people watching, but only 81 likes. So, it's just not going up fast enough.
Poor form from the viewers.
We're not picking up enough pace.
They obviously don't want to see me unleashed. I think when I did my poll on Twitter with if you'd rather see fiery Shan or normal Shan, I think it was like 19 to 81% would rather see fiery Shan. So you're not really showing it because your likes are shit.
Oh dear, here she goes. Do you need a rant? I've asked Shan, I'm off on holiday in a week's time. I've asked Shan to fill in the hosting chair. I can't wait to come back. It'll be on flat fire, like flames or something.
Where will family caller be holidaying this summer?
Don't even. It's a real sore spot. It's a real sore spot.
Basically, Cheeseheads, Caller is a snob and thinks he's above Butlins these days.
Basically, I've got a 2-year-old and I'm being bullied into going into Butlins because Centre Parks are sold out. And and I had Disneyland Paris booked and that went on its arse because of COVID. And I'm going to Dubai on my own in November. That's all I'm saying.
But Caller, question. Obviously, Bognor Regis isn't far from Peppa Pig World, and I know you like to listen to Peppa Pig in your Tesla. Peppa Pig in your Tesla is I think is it top 3 of things you listen to?
Top 3 up there with Paw Patrol is on a roll.
There you go. So while you're in Bognor Regis, you can pay a visit to Peppa Pig World, and you'll have the best time.
We did Peppa Pig World actually earlier this year. Was it May time? Spent 2 days down there. It was hell, but I survived to tell the tale. We digress slightly. Brad. Oh yeah, I like this. Ledley, he did ask if he could come. I said no, Ledley. You've probably outgrown Butlins, to be honest. And if you need any more clarity on that story, just ask Steve Diver. Brad, I'm going to come to you. Daniel Levy, same question as Dave O had. Do you think he'll add some value on the European Club Association Council as the Premier League representative?
Well, I know he'll be trying to get Spurs discount for memberships and things like that. I don't really know. I don't really know what they're about, really. It's if it's anything to do with UEFA or FIFA, I don't really care about it. It's, they haven't exactly done good for football. So I don't know. I really don't. Apparently it's sort of kudos to him that he's beaten some other chairmen from other clubs, but I don't know whether that's correct or not, to be honest. I think it's handy having someone on those committees that is with a club that hasn't got loads and loads of money, and say Oil City had a representative there, or Russian Oil City had a representative there. But no, I really don't know. I don't know a lot about what they do. I can't see any benefits to Tottenham, to be honest. Or I mean, they might have a yearly big meeting like the G7. He might get them to hold it at the stadium maybe one year, to make money out of it, and then charge people to go and watch it. Maybe, I don't know. So I really don't know a lot about it, to be honest.
Okay. Well, we're on Q&A now. So does anything grab you, Cheeseheads, HG? Get your questions in now, guys. For the panel, you can have as many as you like.
Can I just add to what Brad just said as well?
Absolutely.
Obviously, it's well documented that the said CEO that Levy has beaten to this position is the CEO of Manchester City. Dare I say we have beaten City 3 times, and it is the 10th of September.
That is great, but what is also great is we've shot up to 93 likes, Shan. It's going to be a wild Friday night.
Shall I save the rest of the City chat until this is inevitably gone? Would that
7
be more
likes
entertaining?
away. We are just 7 likes away from Shan down in her gin, so please do absolutely keep going. Keep your questions coming in. What do we?
Can I just ask that it's Sean who went completely beyond the Call of Duty for the cheese room by doing a stream from the car park in Skegness that time.
You did.
Surely we're going to get a live stream from Bognor Butlins on this. Surely, come on.
Absolutely no chance. Harrowing, so that's why I called it. Yeah, to be honest, if that was the case, I would literally drive to the other end of the country to stay away from Harry Winks. Honestly.
Do you know what the entertainment is? In all seriousness, do you know what the entertainment's going to be at Bognor Butlins? Is there like a retro 80s or 90 act or
if
a
it's
comedian?
a Steps tribute act, I'm there. I'm there with you.
Wow.
Wow. So although I've seen Steps have got a new album out, which is weird. So there is Mr. Tumble is there live. I mean, that's exciting enough.
He's a nonce.
Right?
Sorry,
you can't say that.
Say that.
You can't say that.
You haven't even down the gin yet, for God's sake.
It's true.
You can't say it's not. No, it's not true. It's not true.
Wait. Hang on. Just is Mr. Tumble that like weird kind of old guy with the curly hair who does? Oh yeah, I don't agree. I mean, well, no, I don't say what Shan said, but I wouldn't be surprised.
97 likes, by the way.
97. Wow.
We're closing in. I don't know about that, but yeah, Mr. Tumble is there, and Dave's very excited about it.
This is a good question. Thank you, Joel,
Very
for
good
this question.
Keep it sensible, Joel. Let's not talk Butlins. Get your likes in. We're 3 away. Keep your likes coming in. Will Hugo get a new contract? Guests first. Brad, what are you saying?
I think it's up to Hugo. I think if he wants to stay at the club, I think he will. I think the club will give him. The club will give him a new contract if he wants to stay at the club. But it's the last year's contract. He's not getting on a bit in goalie years, but he might want to go back to France. So I think it will be. I think if he wants to stay, I think the club will offer him a contract.
Do you want him to stay, Brad?
At the moment, I don't see why not. He's playing well. Certainly had a better season than he did last. Well, actually had a good season last season, but yeah, I think he's looking pretty good. I'm quite sort of happy with the backup he's got. I think Galini could be a decent keeper. And I also liked Whiteman in the friendlies, and he's gone on loan, so I presume the club obviously think he's got a bit of a future as well. But yeah, I wouldn't worry me at all if Hugo was there for another season. No, he's, and as I say, goalkeepers play on to God knows how long. But yeah. But I see there's quite a few comments coming in that we might have hit 100.
I'm just looking. Yeah, it's 100 indeed. Shan, and it's over to you.
Oh God. Okay, it's just as I've topped my glass up as well. I'm going to take my glasses off because my eyes are probably going to water and I'll probably steam. I'm already steaming up. Look at the steam
Jesus
in there.
Christ. I know that the show is in safe hands with you. That's what I will say.
No one has more commitment to the cheese room than me, Caller. You've proved that quite abundantly clear by not appearing from Bognor Regis, Bognor Regis Butlins. So
just down your gin. Come on.
Oh God. Hang on a minute.
Should we talk while she does this, or are we all going to stare at her while she drinks?
I was going to stare at her, but let's talk while she does this.
Just don't say anything funny because I don't want to dribble again like I did on my debut. So if you could keep it sensible, that'd be good.
You're safe.
I'm going to ask Dave. No, I'm not going to look at that one just yet. We will come back to it. Dave, same question to you.
Yeah.
New contract, Daniel Levy.
Yeah.
Daniel Levy?
Hugo
Lloris. What are you saying?
I think with Hugo, I think when we got up to project, when we closed down, when we were shut down for COVID, his form was really dodgy, and I think it was the first time that he had a bit of a rest during the layoff, and then he came back with Project Restart, and he played really, really well. I think every season he does have a dodgy spell every season, but I think that where we are now, I mean, how old is he? 34, 35? I mean, we had Brad Friedel playing for us. We got him in at age 40. So I don't see any reason why we shouldn't give him a new contract. But if he does go, what I am really hoping is that we handle his departure from the club with dignity and with respect, and he gets a great ovation from the fans at the end of the season, because he's been with us for 10 years. He's been with us when things have been tricky and when things have been well. And as we all saw after the Zagreb game, when he gave that speech to the interview, we know that he cares about the club, and we should respect him for that.
Spot on.
HG?
Yeah, I agree with what Brad said. It won't be Spurs' call. I think Spurs will offer him the deal. It's just a question of whether he wants to stay. If Nice, with the money they have, get a Champions League spot, I think he'll go to Nice. That's his hometown club. I've said it a number of times. I just think that's probably where it's headed, unless a really massive club came in for him. But I can't imagine that Spurs will be the best available option he's going to have. So I think we should offer it to him, but I'd be surprised if he took it.
Fran, talk us through it. How was it for you, and how are you feeling?
To be fair, I'll probably do dribble better than Wings. And if you want to see that, then watch my debut on the Cheese Room, because I spat my drink out and it came out my nose. So
I don't remember that. Did you?
I did, but I did it with dignity and grace, like Miss Congeniality or something. But yeah, I'm glad I put myself on mute, because I could feel myself getting gassy. And honestly, the belch that came out when I was sort of to about here was something that no one needed to hear. But other than that, I feel quite all right. My eyes are a bit watery.
Yeah.
But that's more because I didn't really take much of a breath.
What's the mixer?
Cream soda. It's like strawberries and ice cream. It's good.
Gin and cream
You
soda.
really do have the palate of a 14-year-old.
Sounds like Baileys and Cherryade, doesn't it? What the heck?
To be fair, caller, considering you said I had the palate of a 12-year-old, that does mean it's matured by 2 years. So I'll take it as a compliment.
Is it a 12-year-old? All right, question from Cody. Shannon, how do you pronounce Kicha Kratiskela?
Kavicha Kvachkila.
Ooh,
I mean, I'm not going to fucking argue with that. That is spot on.
that's a good. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't pronounce that sober, so yeah, that's
Absolutely spot on. I can't argue with that. Yeah, this is a good point. If you don't, if we let Hugo go, it was a serious case if you don't know what got to this guy. He's been brilliant for us, underappreciated by some. I'd absolutely echo that. I've got to say. I think. Oh, Shan's gone. Shan gone. I'd absolutely say that Hugo has been stalwart for us. I just think he's been fantastic and really slagged off at times. Like, you remember that time where he's having a really bad time? And Shan's back. That was a quick bath. You're all right.
No, I ran out of cream soda, so I just went to get some 7-Up.
Brilliant. I love it. The time where he dislocated his elbow, shoulder, arm, whatever. I think it was his elbow, wasn't it? He went down on his elbow, yeah. Everyone was slagging him off, saying he's finished. And I remember doing a podcast around that time, and everyone was saying, he's past his best. I think his best years have actually been he's the last season and a half for us. He's been absolute mustard.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the guy's done brilliant for us, and we owe him a lot because he stuck with us when we were shit.
Yeah.
Really
and to come back after that injury took a lot of courage, because you're a goalkeeper and you break your arm. That took a lot of courage to come back. Not so much physical maybe, but just mentally to actually come back. And as you say, he played very, very well. So as I say, after COVID as well, he had that rest, and I think he's Yeah.
I think with Hugo as well, his distribution seems to have improved this season. His distribution isn't. I don't feel as an ease when he has the ball at his feet as I used to previously. I used to sort of hold a breath and think, "Oh shit! Like, what's he going to do here?"
But
actually, he's been quite confident.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to read that. No, I think he's been better playing out the back this season. His distribution's been much better. I think I saw a comment here, Hugo best goalie of the Premier League era, and I'd agree if his distribution was better, he's better than De Gea. I'd say the only goalkeeper that's probably clear of Hugo at the minute is Edison.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. Broken within soccer goes true gentle captain. I think he was. I think what surprised me the most for Hugo, this is turning into a bit of a Hugo appreciation moment. In the documentary, the really lauded documentary that featured such classics as Daniel Levy giving advice to Tommy Ndembele about when he was at the convent school. Who can forget those classic moments? Or Mourinho came in and offered to make Harry Kane explode. The one thing that came across for me in that documentary, Hugo was just more influential than I ever thought possible. Really, really good, and honestly, I'd have him every day of the week, and I think he's got years left in him. To be honest,
I mean, we all obviously see a lot of Ali Gold, and he's always said, isn't he, that when there were no fans in the stadium, you could actually hear him shouting and organising the back line and that sort of thing. So this sort of taught that he doesn't do anything as a captain. He obviously does. And then in the dressing room, as you say, and that when he almost had a fight with Sonny, sort of thing,
Captain like that, you just didn't know he had it in him. If I'm being really honest, that documentary did open your eyes to kind of stuff like that as well, and because
I think as HG said that, or maybe Dave, I can't remember now. I've only had 2 beers. The Zagreb moment, because he more or less said what we were all thinking at that time. I mean,
that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that shows how much he cares about the club and his leadership qualities when he came out and actually called out the players after that Zagreb.
Did you say that? Sorry if I.
No, it weren't me, but it was literally what I was going to say. I think he showed his leadership qualities as captain, definitely. And I think probably more than anyone else would love to see Højbjerg as the next club captain, but only as long as Lloris isn't playing. I think as long as Lloris is in the squad and he's in the starting 11, he should be captain. He's given us 9 years. He's our Premier League record appearance holder. He obviously Sonny's probably the most likable guy ever, and even when Sonny weren't pulling his weight, Hugo was the first one to call him out. So I think that it's disrespectful for some of us to turn around and say, take the captaincy of Hugo. He's going in the summer. Let's give it to Højbjerg.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Although I'm of the opinion that I don't think the captaincy means a lot in football these days. It's the guy who holds the cup up. Which we obviously haven't won many, so in recent years.
In Hugo's time,
But I think Højbjerg, what's he going to do differently as captain? Probably nothing. He still organises the team. He still berates players, and so much Hugo does. And that's it. It's the old cliche of having 11 captains. I mean, if you're a cricket captain, well then you got to make decisions. You got to change your bowlers, your field positions, all that sort of thing. But I don't really think a captain on the pitch, certainly not these days, has a lot, does a lot to sort of change how games go.
I think the captain of the team. Actually, I still think the captain of the team is important in the team. I think you have. I know it's a crappy expression, but you have what is called the leadership group, where the coach or the manager relies on a kind of a core of maybe 3 or 4 senior players to set the tone for the rest of the squad. And you look at and the thing about Lloris is that if we all remember when he first joined, he used to come out a lot as a sweeper goalie, and he used to come out and he used to race out. We watched it. He raced out, and obviously we just had a 41-year-old Brad Friedel who wasn't going to do that, and we were like, going, "Wow, what's all this about?" So that was part of his game really early in his career, and there's a lot less of that now. But I think the fact is that he's been the captain of the French national team for a number of years, lifted the World Cup, and as part of that role, he's got to have to look after and manage those disparate personalities as Pogba, Giroud, and all the rest of them. Shows that he's actually a very good leader. So I think the question would be I don't know what the Nice goalkeeping situation is like at the moment. For him, it might be a return to Nice for family reasons. But, I'd like to see him stay.
Yeah, no, Dave, you're right.
Okay, listen, guys, we've been going an hour and 40 minutes, give or take, so we're going to wrap up here. So I just want to say thanks very much to all of you. So, Brad, thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciated. You can
anytime.
It's a beautiful thing having you on the Cheese Room, so we appreciate it. What's your score prediction for Palace?
Well, I did. I'm going. The only reason I'm saying this is because my years as a Tottenham fan is that I'm going for the draw. If we had the first 11 out there, then I think we should win. It's just that I've seen it so many times. I actually got to the situation last season where I thought, no, we've turned the corner. We're going to win every game. We've turned the corner. I'm confident. Yes, next game, 3-0 up against West Ham. See, told you. And then we all know what happened. So. It's like back to normal again. And that's the only reason. But maybe I'm trying to induct, if you do induct it, reverse psychology, maybe. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm trying not to set myself up to be really, really, I look forward to the winning and then being let down. But I'm only going, that's the real. I'm not going for any form reasons or tactical reasons or player reasons. It's just that, it's just on my experience as a Tottenham supporter.
Okay. Dave?
Well,
the voice of optimism.
Well, I'm just checking the Patreon site of for all cheeseheads who should subscribe and get involved in that.
By the way, do you want to talk about Patreon briefly while we're here?
Well, first of all, is it Patreon or Patreon?
Patreon.
Thank you. So yeah, Patreon. For cheeseheads, if you want to subscribe to the Cheese Room and get involved in Patreon, it's a little fee that you have to pay. It's absolutely nothing, and you get involved. There's some great, very intelligent chat on there on the Slack chat. Really intelligent, such great luminaries on here. You get to share them their intellectual minds. Your life's all the better for it. And there's also a great opportunity to win some prizes. So I won the Euros Prediction League. I got a signed picture of Jimmy Greaves on top of a bus in the parade. Nice Jimmy Greaves was my late father's favourite player, so it's a great thing to do. So you can win some great prizes.
Mine too.
And if you like the quality of the run sheet here, you can get more of that quality in the chat as well. So
I have to say the prizes are absolutely worth having.
Yeah,
very good prizes.
Really good prizes, amazing prizes. So I checked in the prediction league of what I predicted during the week. I said 1-1, but I'm feeling a bit more bullish now. I think we'll win 2-1.
Yes, Dave, and that's
stealing my prediction.
You, right?
Yeah, being on here, I've gone from 1-0 to 2-1. We're going to win it.
I love you, man. Happy lockdown. HG, prediction for you, mate.
Well, obviously 4-0. No, sorry, wait. 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah, 1-1.
HG, that's negative.
No, it's not negative. We could be losing.
Let him have it, Shan. Let him have it, because I'm coming to you next. You're still able to, talk.
I mean, in the prediction league, that Dave stole my thunder a little bit, because I was going to say, if you saw the Patreon prediction league, you'd see that I predicted 2-1 Spurs. So there you have it. If you want to speak to us all day, every day, mostly we chat absolute crap, but come and join, because it's great crap.
£3 a month. That's it. £3 a month.
Free quid a month.
You can't even get a pint for that in Chateau de Levy, can you? So
free quid a month. £3 a month to get to talk to myself, Caller, HG, and Davo all day. Well, not so much Dave, because he's in Australia, so obviously he's
Franco,
most of us are.
Brendan,
Franco, Bren, everyone else,
all the Cheesehead crew,
all the Cheesehead crew. You get
24 access, and you get so if you are. Oh, good evening, Holly. Holly's saying 2-1 Spurs. Bless her, she was on the show. Holly's always late to the show. Holly, come on. Obviously, we are doing merch now as well, t-shirts and mugs. So people who stay in the Cheese Room Patreon service for I think 6 months or more, but that's to be confirmed. Do get some free merchandise as well. So it's absolutely worth joining for £3 a month. It's a good deal. You're saying 2-1. I actually said 2-1, but you
said it after I did. So actually, you're copying my score predictions, because you are mid-table at the minute and you need to get yourself out of a bit of a hole. So
I mean, obviously, like this I need to get myself out of the hole. So I'm going to say 3-1 because this show has just enthused me so much. That I want to say we're gonna absolutely dominate it. And let's just remember, we are top of the league, 3 wins, no goals conceded, Someone, can you remind me where Arsenal are?
Caller, that was before half our team ended up in jail in Brazil.
Shannon, just remember, where are Arsenal? Just remind me.
As I like to tell my dad on an almost daily basis, they are rock bottom. People have travelled to the moon
Rock
once
bottom.
more than Arsenal have scored goals or points this season.
I love that one. That's brilliant. I'm going to
beautiful.
use that. I'm going to nick that.
Beautiful.
We all just witnessed this, by the way. Cody, friend of the show, came on the transfer chat. Cody, if Spurs score tomorrow, I'll shave my beard.
That's a big call, Cody.
Cody, we're holding you to that 100%.
He probably shaves it once a year anyway for his mum or something like that, right? And tomorrow's the day, and he's thinking, well, you know, Spurs will probably score. Yeah. If I'm ever in New Zealand, I will do the bungee jump. I'm never going to New Zealand. That kind of thing. Thanks, Cody. We know how it works.
And in the meantime, come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!